Alright guys, welcome back. So I took Blackwings to my OTS Championship, and it was a bit rocky because at round 5 I got a game loss because, okay, so up to the day, right the night before, I was just trying to make sure the build was right because I wasn't even sure what I was going to take. I was not sure. I was going to take Synchro, but it was like kind of like still kind of iffy because it's like the shufflers are so huge and tiers everywhere. Like it's just so hard because I've just been grinding with Synchro this entire past year. And I was really drawn by this deck because it's a Synchro deck, right? And I used to play Blackwings way back when, like years ago, like in 20. Oh wow, this is so long ago. So I was like, let's check out the new support because I've seen new support come out before, like the Full Armor Master, the Thor, this guy's new. I never played with him until now, you know. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I was intrigued by it. So I tried to test it. So this is week 3 with the new support. And it's good. There's some good things with it. It has some good things going for it. But the apparent weakness is quite obvious. If you don't open up this guy, this is you. If you don't open this guy, you're in trouble because a lot of the times you're very vulnerable to your normal summon. So if the normal summon doesn't stick, you can't special vata, you know. So then, like, what do you do then? Like, you just have to pass. Like, what are you gonna do? And you need a Blackwing to fulfill your whirlwind to search. But all that searching means nothing if you have no Blackwing on board. But yeah, Simoon, best card of the deck for sure. Banish Blackwing. The good thing about him as well is that he counters bystials indirectly because you banish the Blackwing. So that means the Black Feather Whirlwind can revive it instead of targeting the one from grave, which is huge. Sudri, this card is pretty cool. It's basically a Stratos. You search any card that lists Blackwing Dragon in its text. And then you contribute a monster, special mana token, a level 2 token, and then it's a tuner. So that comes up when you try to play around bystials because there's times where you tribute the Blackwing Dragon, anticipate incorrectly because you have a 2 and Black Feather Whirlwind's trying to revive a 2. So like, what are they gonna do? You know, so it puts them in a weird spot because already they don't know what the deck does. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll banish. Okay, it's fine. You bounce your Black Feather Whirlwind, special your Zephyros. Everything is according to plan. Nothing changed. The only difference would be that you might not get end on your Hot Red Abyss, but the main intent of the combo is just ending on 3 assault with Twin and Chinook in hand. It's quite devastating because they get burden 21 for every effect. So you have 3 effects they can use. After that, I don't know. It's hard to break unless you have Super Poly. And then of course you have the new value, right? Not a new value, I guess. It's a new vata. You can synchro with your deck. So you send Blackwings from your main deck up to the levels that equal 8, including itself. So typically what happens is you either send Simoon or you send a 4 and a 2. Majority of the time it's going to be Chinook and Zephyros. Going back to the weakness where you need to have a Blackwing, and if you don't have a Blackwing, you're kind of in trouble. Because there's times where like your Simoon gets negated, and then you summon your Sudri, you search this, right? You search, so you have multiple searches, but then you're kind of forced to like search for Twin because you kind of anticipate that they'll get rid of the monster, but most of the time they don't. So they, oh, okay, it's fine. Okay, special then. I think the more the deck gets played, it'll be quite apparent that removing the Blackwing is quite wise because you can't really do much. You're kind of forced to pass. That's where Twin Shadow shines, right? Because that means if you have Feather and you have Twin, you can pass with the Chinook in hand. That means you can play on their turn, which is why Twin Shadow Black Feather Whirlwind is so important for the deck. Because it kind of solves that issue, right? Because you try to initiate a combo on your turn, but you can't. You got stopped. So that's what Black Feather Whirlwind is meant to be doing. It's just to keep you alive for the following turn. You know, because for them to replicate that same interaction to prevent the Blackwings from staying on board, it might not be the same. You know, so that's one to consider. And one thing I noticed as well is that a lot of people were not playing 3Ds. Oh my god, 3Ds is insane, man. Because a lot of the times what you want variants. What I noticed that people want different things to search of Whirlwind. Because once you resolve your first search, or time when you open up multiple Black Whirlwinds, right? Simoon and Black Whirlwind, you'll want to search something else, but that increases variance that doesn't really accomplish what you're trying to do. So that's why I kind of deviated from that and kept it very simple, right? Because you need this to send it off vata, right? Because then and then you need multiples to be able to like, because if you draw this, because otherwise this would be Hamat and this would be a Gale, and like I would much rather have this because going second, it's still a hand trap, right? Because you just use it right away on anything you want. right? And you send either whether a Blackwing Dragon or the Wicked Wind. So then after you try to initiate your combo, you have already set up to just banish the Blackwing Dragon and your Wicked Wind for an assault, right? And then you can activate your Black Feather Whirlwind, because sometimes you kind of like want to play around. It's a niche, risky place, but you can do that to where you can trigger the Black Feather Whirlwind and then revive. It's the more you play the deck, the more you start noticing these things, and they're quite useful. But yeah, so triple Chinook has just been amazing. I've tried one, I've tried the ratios, and three is just insane. Especially because it's just another Blackwing that you can banish off of Simoon, and then you can later revive off of a Black Feather Whirlwind, which is really nice. And just having this in Full Armor Master is huge. The fact that you can bump him down like lower attack, because it's hard. It's so hard to out Full Armor Master, especially with this, because what happens most of the time that the turret get like around him, and then they'll be activating effects, and then you just damage step, reduce their guy, negate their effect, and your Blackwing Armor Master will survive. So then all the monsters that they had that activated an effect will still be on the board. And more often than not, as a natural Yu-Gi-Oh player, you just won't read what the card does. Some might, but even though it might be inevitable. So then they'll pass, and then a Full Armor Master has another effect where you can remove a wedge counter and take control of the monster your opponent controls. And that's huge. That's especially if you can bring out another black Full Armor Master, because that way you can use it again. It's not once per turn. So that's quite crucial. It's so good. So this was where it's different. Initially, I was playing triple Zephyros because I was on Desires, because that extra draw is so important. The fact that you can interact, like hand trap, and then the fact that you can get a +1, that can get you a Black Whirlwind with a Blackwing, right? And that I really like that. But in doing so, that means you'll increase your chances of opening up the cards you don't really want to open, right? Because the variance, the bad variance hands, is when you open up like these two together, like these two together, like they don't really fulfill anything. So I wanted to like kind of avoid that. So that's why last minute I ended up changing it to this ratio, and it was fine. The odds of you drawing into this is not as likely, because most of the time you want to send this off vata. And what I noticed, like, I thought it was gonna be an issue, but then I was just banishing it off a lore, banishing it off Simoon, and then just reviving it with Black Feather Whirlwind, and then just using its effect then, because typically you send these two for vata, right? Typically, but then you have to just send Sudri instead. It's a bit of an issue, but not that big. That's not that big. It's manageable. I would much rather catch myself in that situation than opening up like multiples of these and multiples of these paired with this, because you after all you are playing like hand traps, so the variance will become a bit inconsistent because they don't really pair well. They'll be interactive, but they won't fulfill what you're trying to do with the Blackwing themselves. This is the only card I might think of bumping up again, because there's times where you do lines where you make a Wicked Win on their turn, and then it'll send this. So then you can on your turn add back a Sudri, add back a Blackwing. It just comes up. And it was coming up a lot, because with one, it's always gonna be banished, unless you summon it back, and then it dies, and then you can do it there. But I don't know, it's weird. And then of course you played your bystials. So at first, I was only playing like this. I was playing with this 1 and 1, just to search, right, to give a bit of variance. But I wanted to make sure that I was prepared for tier. I was like, oh heck no, man. I didn't make sure I'm ready for tier, and I'm missing 2 of these. I was borrowing 2 off a friend. Thank you, Nathan. So you're playing, so it's 3. You're maxing out 3 of each. Because you just want to be able to stop your opponent just whenever you go second, whenever you go first. You have your board, and you have like all of these. Like it's gonna make it really hard for them to break your board. And if you're going second, you need to have as many graveyard related negations as possible, or just interactions with the graveyard, because yeah, man, you can't let them mill, you can't let them fusion. You gotta prevent, and if you can open up like 1 of each, and that stops all their fusions, which is insane. Unless they open up Vision Fusion, well, you can't really do much about that, right? Yeah. And then of course you have Triple Meister. This is good versus the Shufflers, and just good generically, just good against anything else that would activate. I guess Naturia, freaking Dennis. The Naturia, you just negate the search. Sometimes it helps, but not necessarily something you I guess consider. But yeah, stops shuffler, stops fusions, stops the search. You know, yeah, it's crazy. And then triple crow. I was initially playing Bell, but Bell does not. It's not dark, and I want Allure to always be live. So any monster you have in this deck, Allure will be live. And if you watch the video of the replays, I mentioned how this is pretty insane because this is a counter to these guys. Because what happens most of the time is you'll want to revive a Black Feather Whirlwind, but then you're kind of like hesitant because the moment you target a monster in grave, they'll bystial it and you waste your Feather Whirlwind. So what happens is if you open up this is why indirectly they're so good against bystials, because this will set up your Black Feather Whirlwind. This will banish your Blackwings, which is really huge. In practice, it's huge. It's super significant. Like in theory, it seems very subtle. It seems like, oh, it's not gonna come up, but it does. It comes up a lot. It's like, oh, what the heck? And then of course, triple lure, just a lure, just lure. And then of course, we played triple whirlwind. This is insane. And then I'm playing double Black Feather. I was playing 3 initially, but like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, since you're playing so many pan traps and so many bystials, you don't really want to pair these guys with this. You know, you don't really want that to happen. And you can play 1 because if you have Shamal on hand, and you open the 1, you can use Shamal's effect, and that can be quite annoying. So you need at least 2, at least. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe 3, but 2 seem to be fine. I don't know. Just, yeah, it's pretty good. And the protection effect comes up a lot. And I threw a game so hard in the last round. I was going up against Bystial Despia. I was against Brandon. And he won game 1. And then in game 2, we're heading into time. And I can believe there's like a minute or 2 left in time. And I was like, okay, it's either OTK him, but I don't want to win by just burning him. So I was like, okay, let me check. And I ended up messing up, and I forget that I can protect by removing a Black Feather counter off the Blackwing Dragon. I was like, oh my god, because it was so annoying because he had the pop, he had Mary Jade, but I had Chinook in hand, and he had a Masquerade, but Blackwing Dragon was absorbing everything. So I should have just gone, okay, effect, reduce something, right? Because I already took had 4 counters on it. So I could have just effect, reduce something. He would take damage to that effect, and then when Mirror J starts to burn me, it'll reabsorb it anyways. So it automatically gets the counter. So then I can project it when he had the Bystial branded Beast when it pops. I was like, oh my god, I was so bad because then I could have gotten reduced. He takes like 2k. He was on 41, I think. I remember what it was. And then he takes that. I attack his guy, reduce it again. It'll be 3k on top of the burn. Like, I was like, oh my god, it was so annoying. But nonetheless, that was my fault for not staying composed in a heat of time. But yeah. And then of course the last 2, double Twin Shadow. I was playing 1 with Desires, which is kind of weird. Now that I'm playing no Desires, I'm playing 2. But it just comes up as a follow-up. Because if you don't, you have nothing to search off Sudri, and the second one just comes up so much. Sometimes you want to just use it on your turn, and then to fulfill your board, and then on the follow up, because most of the time they won't kill you, so you have something to search, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's 40 flat. I'm missing the 2 bystials. Okay, so just in case you count it in your head. Okay, so here's the side deck. So the side deck was more so geared towards like whenever I go second against like Flu or Rogue or like backward X, because like the Bystial Hate is not gonna get, it doesn't transfer, it doesn't overlap well versus other matchups. It's exclusively just good against tier. You know, I mean, it'll vary sometimes, but most time it's mainly for tier. Triple Dark Wheeler, triple Twin Twister, triple Light Storm, and of course triple Evenly, and then these were goes in matches because I would side them in testing, and then because to prevent the lava golem, the sphere modes, but I was like, I need more hand traps for tier, so I would just take out the allures and put these in, and then stop the kit, stop the preemptive dweller, you know, or something to stop a rhino, and it was like, well, okay, and then you just have your Meister, your Bystials, you know. It forces them to overcommit on their you know. But yeah, and it just stops like against flu, right? You just imperm the bird statue, or you bluff, or you bluff evenly, or even if you do have evenly, you just go better face. They'll go okay, shotgun the Dreamtown. They'll bang on Avion, okay, imperm the Avion, and then go battle, and then evenly. It's kind of weird because they have the statue still, but your Simoon doesn't special summon; it's normal summons. So you can just still search off a thing, and then you go chinook or negate, and summon sudri and still build your board, which is pretty cool. The extra deck, so it's a synchro variant, okay? So you're not gonna see like the rusty or the exceeds or the rank up stuff, because I really like how this flows so nicely. The second one does come up. Because you'll make one on their turn, and then you'll make one on your turn. And like I mentioned before, the stealing effect is so huge. Because you usually protect him with the Chinook, so they can't burn it over. And then they'll have something on board that has activated its effect. And it's just so cool. And of course, you have a hot red. This guy's insane against tier. So good, so good. Helps clear boards as well, attack. And of course, you play your double. It's a comment. You play double Blackwing Dragon because it's good as a follow up. And sometimes with Chinook, you'll send one extra one because you need to keep him on board to do your hot red with the Orochi, and then it gives you the option to have a follow up with Vata because it'll be in the extra deck, and you could use Vata effect again, and then trigger Shamal to add back again, and then things like that. It seems like it doesn't come up, but it actually does. Like this. Then of course you have your Silverwind. This guy. I've never made this guy. He rarely comes up, but when he does, he comes up hard. Like it's just crazy. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll cut it. But yeah. And then you play in two of these. This comes up as well. Like these two go hand in hand, because same logic where Chinook can send this. And then it sets him up by just banishing these two from grave, right? And not having to actually synchro into it, which is huge. It's super huge. And then of course you have this guy's insane. Without this guy, your combos just would not be complete. They would not be complete. And then you play the one link, the one white strix, because there's some hands where you open up kind of weirdly, and you need to like summon your Simoon after he bounced back. It's really weird, but like it comes up. I was thinking of playing these guys. Like I was initially playing him, but he just never came up. Like for me, it never came up. It's really hard to fulfill a 7, But I don't know. It just never came up. This guy's something I want to try out, especially with the bestial one, the bestial version. Yeah. And then I was setting this most of the time when I would go first, just to deal with evenly matched. But it would make you play awkwardly, because you would have to keep your Blackwing Dragon on board to remove the counters for it. So it was a bit weird. And then this card's interesting for a different reason. Because I've seen people just play just for the fact that it just sends to grave, banishes out, summon a level 5. You can even summon another copy of itself, pretty sure. Because there's times where like you need Black Feather Whirlwind to give you value. And the fact that you can send him means that you can revive it off Black Feather Whirlwind on their turn, right? So you would have like a pop, this would come back, you have a bounce. So that's 3 interactive things that this can fulfill. Like maybe it'll do like a Dark Refer, like pitch, and then like things like that, like just crazy like that. It seems interesting. And of course the small world package, like this was I was a fan of this at first because it made sense, but it's just way too depleting. But yeah, that's basically the list. I might change it. I've been trying a bestial version last night, where since I'm maxing out the bestials, right, and it's tiers everywhere, playing Lubellion and then Trap just makes it to where it's basically 2 decks like that are meant to combat the meta, right? So like you have your bestial versus tiers, and then you have like the traps to deal with like flu, to pop stuff, to like with rogue, because it's just the amount of resources you regenerate is insane. The branded beast and the spell, like the fact that you recycle, add back, draw 1 special, like it's just crazy. And then that'll maintain the tempo while you get to your Blackwing stuff, But it's just a theory. But it's something I'm gonna be trying out for sure. And yeah, that's basically gonna be it. Hopefully enjoy the video. Like, subscribe if you have it, and thanks for watching.